Hello and welcome to another episode of Community Connections. I'm your host, Sam Atero. And here in Community Connections, we've decided that we wanted to take this opportunity to make a connection between you and our information technology educators that serve various corners of Fairfax County, to get to know them a little bit better and what they do and what skill sets they are bringing to the table to help you manage your information technology needs. And this episode, Mr. Ron Moses, who is the information technology educator and clubhouse manager over there, James Lee Community Center. Ron, thanks for coming on and informing our audience a little bit about you and your long history with the county and your love of information technology education. Thanks for coming on the show.
Well, thanks for having me, Sam.
Yeah, my pleasure. I always enjoy talking with you. Ron, you're one of the veterans. You've been around for a while. Why don't you tell us a little bit about Ron Moses and how you came on and started with the county, and maybe we only got 15-20 minutes here, so you've been around a long time. Give us the thumbnail sketch of some of the changes that you've seen in your years here.
Well, I've been with the agency since 2002. It's been a long time. The agency has been great for new, energetic, new ideas. Since the beginning, our clubhouses started out as a Montessori setting, pretty much. And we were bringing different kids, different talents to partake in our activities here at the clubhouses. We have a lot of contacts in the area, in the community, and we reach out to our members to make sure that they're well taken care of. In this pandemic time, we've been out in the community, shoulder to shoulder, hand in hand, trying to reach our undeserved community members that need any help that we can offer.
Now, Ron, you made mention about a Montessori model for folks that maybe not be familiar with that model of education. Why don't you clarify your reference to the clubhouse and what it is and that type of education that you're referring to?
Well, that type of education is, we don't have a set curriculum. The kids can come in and gravitate to what interests them, and then we build a program or a project around that. It's the opposite of school. We don't want that kind of atmosphere. So we leave a lot of projects out so the kids can start their own. We help them, assist them in trying to figure out what they want to do and then how they can do those things in the future.
Now, as far as your role as an educator, of course, everybody's role changed drastically with this pandemic. How did you personally make that adjustment from more, we got our labs and brick and mortar there in each of our tech centers, classrooms and computer labs and workstations and all that fun stuff. And then all of a sudden, everything went virtual. How did you make that adjustment? What challenges did you see as a tech educator who your region relies on to keep up on the latest technologies? How did you deal with it, and how did you help those that you serve deal with that transition?
Well, the biggest challenge was pivoting. That was the word of the
we love
early
that
pandemic.
word here.
Yeah, and in basketball, if you pivot, you're only going in a circle. So we had to kind of fine tune that. We did go out into our communities and make sure that everybody's taken care of, that they have means to communicate, whether it's multimedia, cell phone, what have you. We still wanted to keep our touch on our community. And then we started to look beyond our community, our kids, what's going on with the school system, and try to assist them the best way we can. So that assistance meant going straight to the web, to virtual. So we provide some virtual classes every day, especially after school. And it's very interesting. The kids hop on. We do have STEM activities. So it's really fun and it's ever growing. We learned along the way. Early pandemic, we had to get into a lot of editing. So we had to brush up on our editing skills and those types of things to be able to reach those demands. Also, early in the pandemic, we worked with Meals on Wheels, where we rode the bus and delivered these meals to all of our community patrons. So that was the biggest adjustment early in the pandemic. And once we got our feet going and the agency knew which direction we wanted to go, then things started to slow down and we were able to fine tune our activities.
Can you give folks watching, whether they are members of our community that we serve, youth that we serve, maybe their parents or their guardians, because as tech educators, we don't just deal with young people or their parents. I mean, we can, and many of us actually are engaged with the senior programming as well. So can you give folks advice and some tips on dealing with this transition and adapting to these new ways of doing things in digital?
Well, before the pandemic, we had a big senior population. I did programming for our seniors 3 of the 5 days of the week, and it was getting a big as the year went on. Now we don't have those patrons in our facility. It'll probably be a couple more months, but when they get back, we'll still continue our programming, of course, within our agency's rules and regulations. But we also open here for job searches for people who want to do some legal printing of legal documents, and also to try and help find jobs now. So that's one of the bigger things that we're trying to do here and stay ahead of the ever-changing technology world, if you will.
You were doing 3 days a week of senior programming back
Yeah,
when
yeah,
things
yeah,
were,
yeah.
no kidding. And
Well,
what
we
did that
had
look
jobs.
like? What as a tech educator, what were you doing for the seniors in your facility?
Well, we called it a Senior Tech Wednesday, and they would come in with any kind of technology questions that they had, whether it was a camera, tablet, or what have you. I had a gentleman come in and had a couple of questions about his alarm clock. So we went through that and looked it up and got that squared away for him.
Oh,
A lot of
cool.
seniors are just now getting on board with emails and following their family and friends. So the camera is a big deal. It started out with the camera, just the basic functions. Now they want to take pictures. Now they want to send pictures. Now they have to have an email to send the pictures.
Mm-hmm.
So it's a snowball effect, and it's in a positive way. And then they leave here feeling more accomplished, not shy of technology or scared that they may or may not break it.
Mm-hmm.
That was the biggest hurdle, is I might break something. So once I got comfortable with that, and we shared some common questions and answers, and they were able to take things from there.
I think that's a good point. That's one of the things that I always really preached to my students when I was teaching high school and doing senior programming in the evening as well. Was get over your fear of it. The technology can be intimidating, and can you screw your computer up? Well, sure you can. You can press the wrong button and you can delete files but generally speaking, if you have somebody on speed dial that knows the very basics and is willing to be patient and help you, there's really not a whole lot that you can do that is going to break your computer just by trying to log on to the internet and checking your email or making an attachment to
Right.
an email.
But
So I
but
think
also
a lot of what holds people back in learning these technologies, even the basics, is that intimidation factor. So I'm glad to
right.
see you mentioning that as
Well,
well.
also with learning, you learn how to get yourself out of the mistake.
Exactly.
Um, and once you learn that, then it's not as intimidating because if you can do it once or twice, you can do it again.
Absolutely. One of the biggest things that I've seen over the years, biggest factors with people sending pictures is this. See if you've run into this. And those that are watching here, we're actually going to be doing a series of educational shorts with our tech educators on certain topics that you may find helpful. So look for that series in the future after we finish up these interviews. But Ron, real common. I've got these pictures on my cell phone and they look great. And I put them on my computer and it looks great. And then I sent 20 of them to my grandkids in Montana and they're saying they look awful. They're real low resolution. What happened?
Right. What did I do? Yeah, that's common. I've also had a gentleman come in with probably 10 or 15 photo albums that he wanted to scan all his pictures on a CD so that he could pass out to his family. So that was another service. This was probably about 10 years ago now. I've been around a long time. But we were able to provide that service for him and then help him to be able to take that and go ahead and continue his project on his own. So those are some of the things that we were able to help and be proud of, to be able to help him and go back to his community, and he'll be able to help somebody. But also going back to Montessori setting, if we have a class of 5 and everybody's helping each other, that's the Montessori setting. That's also the clubhouse setting. Okay, we're not sold on standing in front of everybody and being a teacher and giving the lesson. We all want to kind of contribute to the lesson and kind of get a buy-in, and that works a lot with the kids as well.
Absolutely. That's a proven model. I taught career and technical education for 13 years before coming here to the county. And, it's the same model, real world problem solving skills, and the students and the teacher work in concert together. The students do a lot of peer teaching and demonstration of what they've learned to their peers. And it's a real collaborative effort where everybody is learning along the way. And I know, and you've probably seen this too, I know that, man, I would have kids come into my lab that ran circles around me in certain respects and certain technologies.
And I have a good story with that.
Yeah, go ahead.
17 years ago when I first came, I didn't know a whole lot of computers. I came from a security background. And I had the kids teach me. And the kids were so happy to be able to teach an adult. And so I learned the feeling of how other adults who are not tech savvy, who may be a little bit intimidated by technology, to really have that compassion and that patience, because I went through it too. And the kids were so willing to answer all of my questions and sit down and show me some things. And I was able to pass that knowledge that I learned on to the next kid or to the next adult. And that's how we keep the ball rolling. And that's Clubhouse.
And it's very empowering for a young person to feel that they walked away contributing to the positive culture there, and to helping somebody that, traditionally we as the adults are the mentors, and as you said, the teacher, and for them to walk away saying, hey, I taught Mr. Ron something. That's a great feeling for a kid.
Absolutely. And that's a part of the buy-in.
Tell us about what you guys got going on there at James Lee. Now, you're one of the larger centers in Fairfax County. Is that not the case?
Yes, absolutely. We have a theater, 2 gyms, full-service kitchen, outdoor courts, baseball field, softball, football. You name it, we have it in here. So, yeah, we're a full-service facility. We're very active in working with the Capital Food Bank. So my team on Monday, we'll go to Graham Roads and pick up probably 75, 80 to 100 boxes of meals for our community.
Wow.
And that's real positive. That's really awesome. And we were and we will be in the future a vaccination site. We have been a few times, so we'll continue to work with that as well. We also work with SRS, or as everybody knows, the SAC program. So they'll be here. So yeah, we'll be fully stocked and ready to go come summertime.
Yeah. So, what can people expect in terms of programming? I mean, if you want to explain a little bit about what we do with our VIP programming later and our summer camps, what do you guys got going on there at James Lee?
Our summer camps are going to continue with the virtual programming. We do have some small number of kids that we will allow in here, but based on Corona, those numbers will be small. But for the most part, most of our activities will be virtual.
And Ron, you want to let people know how to get hold of you there at James Lee?
Well, you can reach me at ron.moses@fairfaxcounty.gov. We're located at 5528 Annandale Road in Falls Church, Virginia. Right now, we're taking everything is in reservation style. I just had a guy call me and wants to make a reservation because he has some important legal documents he wants to go over. So we'll be able to go over that with him and help him print them out in his packets. So those are some of the things we'll be doing. We're also open to the public for 45-minute increment for personal computer usage, whether you want to check your email or apply for a job or something like that. So we do have that, as well as certain hours of the day for our basketball courts.
Awesome. Well, I appreciate you coming on and letting folks know a little bit about you. And I should say we are. I did an interview with Ron several months ago for my kids in my Gathering Steam after school program, where Ron talked a little bit about his experience as a photographer and gave us some photography tips. So we'll go ahead and cut away here and do a little sound bites from that interview as well before we go. Do you need to spend a ton of money and have a nice high quality DSLR camera in order to be able to take great pictures, or would you encourage kids to jump into this with whatever cell phone that they've got?
My recommendation would be to jump in with whatever you have. The phones nowadays take just as good or not better pictures in certain situations than a DSLR. I have both, and I've chosen my cell phone over my DSLR, especially in traveling, is convenience, and found out that they take just as good a picture as the big camera. So start with what you have. Learn the parts of your camera, your aperture, your lighting, your framing. That's the first thing that you should learn, and then you can go from there.
They could do street photography. They could do like a day in a life where they're doing a pictorial story. So you have any advice for young shutterbugs out there?
Normally, street photography captures everyday life in public places. And it's also known as candid pictures of strangers without their knowledge. Now, street photography is something that catches your eye, something that's a good expression to you. We do use it every day when we post some pictures on Facebook and Instagram and all of that stuff. So it's something that will capture your eye, mean something to you personally, and be able to portray that to an audience or to a friend or a family member.
All right, and there you have it. Ron Moses, thanks so much for coming on today. Any parting thoughts for folks and this initiative that our management has us working on, trying to reach out into the community and letting people know that we as tech educators are here as a resource for them? Any further thoughts on that?
Well, there's 6 tech centers in the county, along with some 3 CLCPs or other tech centers, as we call it. Check us out. We have a lot to offer, and we will stay in our neighborhoods and reach out to our community. Thanks for having me, and I had a nice time.
Yeah, I always enjoy talking with you, sir. Well, thank you so much. And there you have it. Another episode of Community Connections, focusing on information technology education. Our guest today, Mr. Ron Moses, one of the several talented and motivated, community-focused IT educators working for you here at NCS. For everybody here at the Gum Springs Community Center that supports this effort, my name is Sam Otero. You've been watching Community Connections. We'll catch you next time around. This video was produced in partnership with the Gum Springs Community Center's Information Technology Education Program in our new multimedia studios. Join us in the center or online for our virtual classes. Let us help you develop your digital media and computer technology projects. Call today for a tour, 703-360-6088.